you guys ever make some really fun track building stuff with your Hot Wheels cars back in the day? You know, when you were a little kid, you got the little snap together track builders and just turned your living room into a big racing track? Well, if you did and want to again, but without breaking your mom's favorite vase with a rogue Hot Wheel flying off a ramp, you can now do it in video game form. This was something that was requested from someone over on Twitter, so here is my review of Hot Wheels Unleashed for the Nintendo Switch. When it comes to gameplay, Unleashed is a racing game with building and RNG elements. Now first diving into the car roster, we have over 60 cars from actual Hot Wheel toy sets. It's really cool as the in-game renders don't look like real cars. They actually look like fake plastic metal die-cast Hot Wheel toys. Especially when you get some of the goofier editions like the Velociraptor car or the Street Wiener Wienermobile. As do the tracks that you go on as you're racing past big objects like couches and chairs. Now, a few of the Hot Wheels have some little inconsistencies between this and their real-world counterparts, but overall, it is very faithful. The main downside of the roster is just that it's too small. 60 cars is cool, but I really just wish there was more here. Though the major downside is the Day 1 DLC for all of the Batman and DC comic stuff. There's a big map in story mode that you're not allowed to access until you buy it, and even some of the daily challenge rewards are specific to the DLC where you can achieve those in-game levels, but you can't actually claim the rewards. But let's get past that and talk about the single player and multiplayer modes you have access to here. The biggest of these is City Rumble, a point-to-point map with races, time trials, and bosses that you fight as you go through the main campaign. This is basically the bulk of the game as far as unlocking the gear and coin currency, as well as cosmetics for a special basement room you can customize from the main menu. Now the other two game modes are kind of the highlight of what makes this so different. Track Builder and Livery Editor. Track Builder lets you customize and build crazy tracks around the different environments, whether they will actually work or not. There's a crazy amount of different stuff you can do with the hazards that you encounter and unlock in the story mode to just making crazy angled roads that don't work at all. Going to the Livery Editor is much more simple. You don't have a huge amount of stuff that you can modify, but it is fun to give cars different color schemes than what they're built with. And then we get to the shop. You got two different areas of the shop to get new cars. Opening boxes and limited deals. Cars that can be bought with the in-game currency that swap over time. Now the limited deals is similar to how it worked in Yu-Gi-Oh! Rush Duel. The swap time isn't overall time in the world, it is time spent in-game. And then we get to blind boxes, the Hot Wheels Unleashed version of everyone's favorite game mechanic, loot boxes. Now, blind boxes can be bought with the in-game coin currency or earned in City Rumble, the game's story mode. And it's got RNG for pulling pretty much any car in the roster at random. That means the 3 blind boxes at the very beginning of the game before you even start could give you the very best cars imaginable or the very worst. And I'm going to be honest, the RNG drop rate is absolutely abysmal for the special vehicles like the TMNT Party Van or the Back to the Future DeLorean Time Machine. Now when you're starting off, it's fine. You're going to get a new car every time you grab a blind box, but once you get about a dozen or so cars, you will constantly get doubles that you have to end up burning to the ground, literally, watch this animation, selling them for more coin to try again with other boxes. Now this grind can be helped with daily challenges to navigate the Battle Pass-like system for easy coins each day. Another option is save scumming. With Nintendo Switch Online Cloud Saves, you can go into your settings and say, hey, I don't want you to back up automatically. Get a save file with a bunch of blind boxes, and then just open boxes. If you don't get what you want, re-download the save file and try again. I used this method to get the DeLorean Time Machine, and I only got it after save scumming almost 200 blind boxes. But getting past that negativity, let's talk about the racing, because that is a lot of fun. Everything is really fast paced with everybody drifting around corners to build up boost and using it to whiz past all of the other cars. and a lot of crashing if you don't realize you're about to hit a ramp and the physics kick in, causing you to fly across the room. Speaking of the physics, it is actually reminiscent of what actually happens to die-cast cars when it rams into something. You can boost right behind another car and literally ramp launch it off into the distance, or approach a downhill at lightning speed, losing traction and flying right off. Now, the physics don't always work. Some areas had flat surfaces where I was just going at it and my car would randomly just hover and float into the air with no gravity elements around. Outside of the physics, you're going to be doing a lot of drifting and boosting, especially having to know when to boost to get around all of the hazards, like the very annoying spider webs or closing snakehead gates. These are interesting little hazards for you to go through in normal races, though they're a bit of an annoyance when you go through the time trials, probably the most difficult part of this game. But all in all, this is a really fun system. I had loads and loads of fun here, even before I unlocked the DeLorean and did all of my races with the game volume down and blasting the Back to the Future theme as I went through. That was an entirely different level of fun for me. With all of that in mind, let's go into content and length. The story mode of this game is probably going to take you about 15 to 20 hours, give or take. Combining that with just going through other unlockables, be it through blind boxes or daily challenges, and you're definitely going to get a lot of time out of this. And next up is presentation. Visually, in both docked and handheld mode, this game is a little on the blurry side compared to the other consoles, but it overall looks nice with the amount of detail you have on each of the vehicles, all the way down to the out-of-time license plate on the DeLorean Time Machine. Now when it comes to performance, the frame rate is pretty good overall. It stays at 30 FPS probably 90-95% of the time, just dropping into the 20s every so often when you've got a huge amount of cars all drifting together. And with that out of the way, let's dive into battery life. Hot Wheels Unleashed gives the original model a battery range of 2 hours and 22 minutes up to 3 hours. It gives the Nintendo Switch Lite a range of 2 hours and 35 up to 3 hours and 13. The Red Boxer V2 2019 model gets a range of 4 hours and 51 up to 6 hours and 44. And the OLED model gets a range of 5 hours and 30 up to 7 hours and 10. In conclusion, Hot Wheels Unleashed brings childhood racing to life with a lot of iconic Hot Wheels models, from Twin Mill and winning formula to the Back to the Future DeLorean Time Machine. Now on the downside, the DLC being built into the main game in so many ways is a bit of a downer, along with how abysmal the RNG is for the blind boxes. But the thrill of high-speed racing and just dominating races with crazy and goofy cars like the Street Wiener will give you a lot of fun. Reviews to go rates Hot Wheels Unleashed for the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.